My name's Mabus, and in Banjo Kazooie games there are some situations and obstacles where even a bear and bird combo isn't enough to get the job done. So in times like these, it's very often necessary to seek out the ultimate wisdom of a very certain shaman, who will transform a bear with a backpack into something else with a backpack that is much more terrifying, like a truck. You don't ever want to come across a truck wearing a backpack. That's where you just turn around and go home. Now this isn't exactly the most mobile transformation you get. I mean, there is a nice sort of double jump you can do with him to get some extra distance, and if you parkour it right, you can actually get most of your traveling done somewhat faster. And while it may not be the smoothest or fastest in the world, it still certainly beats the mobility of the Stony. The detonator also doesn't have the best defense either, considering that your only means of attack is to fucking suicide bomb the enemy. If a baddie has you cornered, you will either lose a honeycomb piece by taking its punishment, or by dealing your own. However, if you decide to attack the baddie, he won't be around to lash out seconds. So overall, it's not exactly the most versatile or useful transformation, but hey, when you are a literal walking tool of destruction that can explode at will, it's hard not to like. The snowball isn't very fancy. It's just a wad of packed snow. But the interesting little quirk with this transformation is how your health bar directly correlates with how big your snowball can get. After being first transformed, you leave Humble Wumba's wigwam with only one honeycomb, and you feel slightly vulnerable and nervous. But it's not until you roll over some more snow that you gain some mass and grow to incredible size. And with this incredible size, you're able to push bigger, more rusted buttons that Banjo Kazooie themselves couldn't weigh enough for. Like that giant oil drill, which you have to venture through the lava side of the peaks in order to get to, which is very satisfying to cool down the enemies on the hot side of the mountain. Just don't take too long, because the hot air will melt you in a hurry. Any extended length of fresh air tasting will result in a melted pile of slush where a snowball used to be. The snowball is also used to blast through that incredible windstorm to save that stranded Jinjo whose feet are seemingly nailed to the floor. And when you are done rolling around and want the bear and bird back, just remember to melt by the fire a little bit so you can loosen size in order to get back into Wumba's tent. This took me an embarrassing amount of time to figure out, that I'm not exactly proud of.
Let's get to the chopper!
With the ability to fly around wherever you want to, and hide from the ground baddies way up in the sky, there's very little you need to worry about. And that is even before I mention the fact that you have an infinite, semi-automatic missile launcher at your disposal that is ready to rain hellfire on any punk that tries to push their luck. Or just because you feel like it. The main purpose of the helicopter is to transport the Knights of Hamelot around to different parts of the casino like a taxi service. Did somebody call an Uber? It's also used to shoot the broken slot machines for some sweet, sweet loot. Seriously, the helicopter is some fun shit. Unleash your inner Rambo today. Please rate 5 stars. Some of us make mistakes, even when it comes to magic, and Mumbo is no exception. In Banjo Kazooie, every once in a while, and with a few correct buttons held, Mumbo will screw up his spell during transformation and will accidentally turn you into a washing machine. You can't do anything while in this form, and he immediately corrects himself afterwards, but this blunder won't go unrealized because in Banjo-TOOIE, you finally get to roll around in that washing machine and shoot underwear at baddies. Sounds silly, right? Yep, and that's why it's so much fun. But other than being funny, the washer has quite a few uses in the factory, and it's the only way Banjo Kazooie can access the service elevator, which could be used to press that flying pad button early and gain access to the roof. In addition, it's required to hit the button in the electromagnet chamber in order to unlock the door for Weldar. And who can forget about all the bunny workers' overalls that you have to wash? There's just so much charm in this transformation, and all from a simple laundry appliance. Who knew? When venturing through underwater levels, you have a few extra hazards that you need to be concerned with. First and most obvious is how do I not drown? Secondly, and just as frustrating, is your mobility. Going for a simple dip in the pool will show you just how much slower your movement is through the medium of water as opposed to air. This is no surprise to why water levels are typically not the favorite type of world for most players. But in Banjo-Tooie, there are quite a few ways around this. First off, you can learn how to swim faster by helping out a stranded goldfish in Spiral Mountain. And secondly, you can get Mumbo to oxygenate the water using the power of the sun. And just in case that wasn't quite enough to satisfy, you can pay Humbawamba a visit, and a Glowbo, in Atlantis, and she'll turn you into a submarine with the power of infinite torpedoes, sonar blast, great mobility, and the ability to drive on land. All of this, and you still don't even need to worry about your oxygen levels, even if you don't acquire Mumbo's help. Seriously, this thing is a beast. Big Octos flailing in your way? Just hit him with a sonar blast to freeze him in their tracks. Pesky baddies running amok? Then send a homing torpedo at them and erase their existence. Can't go any deeper into the ocean with the Baron Bird? Well, this reinforced submarine can. Fucking send it! And just to put the icing on the cake, the multiplayer shootout minigame with the submarine is so much fun. Nothing like an underwater dogfight to polish off the amazing transformation that is the submarine. Well done, Rare. Well done indeed. Now this transformation doesn't have any special abilities or gimmicks, nor does it have an endless supply of missiles, torpedoes, or deadly weapons of any sort. Hell, it doesn't even have a way to attack. In fact, it's nothing more than a simple festive holiday decoration. But let's be 110% honest here. Who actually doesn't like being the pumpkin? It may seem like the only real use for this thing is to fit into tiny places like barrels, wells, and being flushed down Grunty's dirty toilet. Sorry, little fella. But the pumpkin actually plays an enormous role in getting further into Grunty's lair, because the pumpkin is the only way into the shed outside of her mansion that allows you to hit the button that raises the water levels so that you can swim up to the next floor. So the pumpkin is absolutely necessary in order to complete the game. Just be careful around Mumbo, because each time he changes you into a pumpkin, he gets hungry and wants to use you as an ingredient. Pumpkin pie. You might not be too crazy after all. If you've seen my top 10 Banjo Kazooie Worlds trilogy, then you may have noticed a few things. Like how Bubblegoo's Swamp wasn't very high on the list. In fact, it was near the bottom. But one of the only reasons why it wasn't even further down the list was because of the beastly Crocagator that you can transform into. There are a few things that Mumbo will transform you into during the course of Banjo Kazooie, but the only one who can actually attack back and fight for itself is the alligator. Nom nom nom. With this ferocious little guy, you can chase around baddies with your chomper snapper. Nom 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 nom.
Scrumptious.
Nothing messes with the crocodile. Yummy yum yum.
Scrumptious.
Hell, he'll even briefly float in the air while he attacks. So not even those pesky dragonflies stand much of a chance. I gotcha.
Scrumptious.
The flying gator? Now we're all fucked.
Scrumptious. Fuck you, Renner.
When you venture into Pterodactyl Land, your first thought was probably, awesome, dinosaurs. This is gonna be so cool.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Then you started noticing the different types. Stegosaurus, Triceratops, pterodactyls, underwater monstrosities that will swallow you whole. Then it probably hits you like a truck. Shit. There's one missing. Where the hell is the Tyrannosaurus Rex? You start to tremble, your palms will sweat, and piss will run down your leg as you check every corner like a cautious Warzone camper, just terrified at the possibilities of having to run for your life as a vicious predator chases you throughout this prehistoric landscape. Now Rare could have went that route, and maybe made Banjo-Tooie a slight horror game for a world, but I think they made the better decision when they decided that the T-Rex in Pterodactyl Land was going to be something that you'll transform into. Now I will say that after first leaving Humbawamba's tent, I was a little disappointed at the fact that I was just a baby T-Rex. I mean, he was still pretty cute and it was fun going through those secret doors and tunnels. Even the secret passcode of Rars was pretty cool. but I still long to be the massive, top-of-the-food chain animal that terrorized the Cretaceous period. And wouldn't you know it, Mumbo just so happens to go enlarge in this world. And with a quick prank on Wumba's teepee, I got my wish. Now, I am the beast unleashed. Nothing can stop this invincible monster. Baddies run away in utter terror at the sheer sight of you, and the effortless ways in which you can easily slay any pest that gets in your way is just laughable. The simple fact of just running them over is enough to kill. Not to mention the power of your roar is also enough to do the trick. And if it doesn't kill them, it will at the very least scare the shit out of you. Yooka had some pretty good transformations, not gonna lie. And after you fly around in a private helicopter touring a grand casino, you don't really think it can get much better. But oh my friends, we were wrong. Oh, so very wrong. It may be a 16th century looking vessel of the oceans, but this galleon is special. This ship sails the seas of the skies on the stars and nebulas, and has 3 different ammo types for whatever problem you may encounter on your journey. Not to mention it's the only transformation that has its own variant of the world theme music, just to add that little bit of extra flavor to its character. It's also needed to fight the boss of the world, as well as gain access to certain areas for the first time. In fact, quite a decent chunk of exploring the galaxy is done with the galleon. I mean, sure, you could just fly around from part to part, but where's the fun in that when you could be a Pirates of the Caribbean looking war vessel that dominates outer space? I mean, sounds like a pretty easy decision to me. It is customary in the Banjo Kazooie series
To prove your worth.
to your local scientist or shaman before being transformed into something useful. In Yooka-Laylee, a molecule is required to power up Dr. Puzz's DN Ray. In Banjo Kazooie, tokens show Mumbo that you are worthy of his magic. And Banjo-Tooie is no different, where a certain magical creature is a necessary ingredient in order to fuel the transformations. And 2 of these Glowbos can be found in each world, one for Mumbo and one for Humbawamba, with one very special exception. Upon visiting Humbawamba's wigwam in Pine Grove, you expect your Glowbo to change you into a random object like it always does. But not this time. This time Humbawamba has a nice surprise for you. But in return for this surprise, she wants something a little bit more. This time, she's greedy. Just any Glowbo isn't gonna cut it.
Got it!
She wants more. She wants it bigger. This time, in order to change into something, she wants something extra special. Humbawamba wants a nice, big, healthy, thick, legendary Mega Glowbo. And wouldn't you know it, there's only one in the entire game. And is it ever massive? Make room in that backpack, Kazooie. It's gonna be snug. The quest for this thing is a big part of why it's so high on the list. You need to find the legendary ice key from Banjo Kazooie. Take a secret passageway in a hidden tunnel deep in Glitter Gulch Mine to a secret room on the ice side of HAILFIRE Peaks to open the safe where the Mega Glowbo resides. And one of the coolest things about this room is that there is a thick layer of transparent, indestructible ice guarding the safe room that you can clearly see from the other side. So if you get to HAILFIRE Peaks before you unlock it, it will just sit there, taunting you, making getting the Mega Glowbo all the more satisfying. And just to think, Saberman was so close to getting to it too. Now the reward for this Mega Glowbo at first was a little startling to say the least. When the pool explosion happened and Banjo backflipped out of the pool like he always does, my immediate first thought was, what a ripoff! I want my Mega Glowbo back. Maybe Mumbo can do something more useful with it. Then Kazooie popped out of her backpack transformed into a dragon. Now this was cool. Instead of having a generic beak attack, she breathes fire. And has unlimited fire eggs too. You just simply can't go wrong. The name is Mabus. And at the end of the day, Dragon Kazooie really isn't all that different. Hell, it's not even a requirement in order to beat the game. But it's the journey to get the Mega Glowbo, and the sheer fact that you're carrying around a dragon in your backpack that makes it so damn fun. And when all the dust is settled and all the smoke is cleared, that's really all I can ever ask for. Fun. So in the meantime and in between time, stay tuned for more.